Hi, I'm Megan Merchant. I live in Prescott, Arizona. Thank you, Rebecca Aronson, for not only curating this space, Badmouth Online in the meantime, but also for inviting me in. I'm happy to share some work with you. I'll start with two poems from The Dark's Humming. This is my second full-length collection with Glass Lyre Press, and it won the 2015 Lyrebird Prize. Grass Stars. I was pregnant in a patchwork dress, and the days shivered yellow, as if I were concealing a secret that can unravel an entire field of grass stars. I was faultless. Then I burst, and we fell into these stuck places. I read and read, but speaking came hard when the walls were the only texture, and people's voices forgot to remind me I was something other than a charcoal-etched list, a tender honeydew. An udder. The baby coo's cuteness and need. We dance by the night window until she forgets to cry. I whisper the kinds of sadness splayed in the news, and she sleeps. If I never set her down, her dreams will prepare her for this world, how to always flourish in motion, how to crave lightness, death. I'm busy being her cradle. When I glued the cat's paws to the floor, it wasn't out of spite for its constant yowl, its pathetic heat. I just couldn't be another post to rub against, another fixture in these rooms. The doctor says my sadness can be bright, the way berries plump under the burnt crust. They swell and glisten. He said there's a little pill that can make the world go from harried and dumb to air-crisped and floaty. A full bottle could make me kind. I light the stove and crave its warmth, its thick lullaby that swims and swims and swallows my lungs. I chose poems for this reading that I love to read and that, for whatever reason, even as dark as they might be, make me happy. And this next poem, In the Light of Morning, has a lyric from Paolo Nutini's song Better Man, tucked inside of it, a song that if you haven't heard, I highly recommend. In the Light of Morning. I make a camera with my hands. My shutterbug eyes clip the borders of your face, brood heavy, next to mine. They frame a crack in the window pane where the day slips its early announcement. I was away so long, listening to the scratch of indigo birds that chirped on straw legs. It became my sorrow song. The same cold light leaks over stacked papers, heaps of laundry neglected to busy living, as if to say, welcome home. I could wake up singing, I kiss the sky to send her letter blue, but I know you've been worrying my name in the dark, so I'll let you sleep. When you wake, we'll sit by the heat of the oven, dish the forensics of the day over coffee, sip errands, fill forgotten histories. It will feel like I never left. Maybe we'll pretend it was only an afternoon, that I was out back, tending the garden soil, burying strands of hair I clipped while you were tilling dreams. These next two poems will be from my third full-length collection with Glass Lyre Press, Grief Flowers. How to Grow a Broken Spine. He calls it, kisses it, the small of my back, the peach soft lean along my spine, the blown glass curve that cases the filament of spindled nerves, how hot the tungsten that nearly burns before the light gleams visible. His hands share the same palm curve, and when pressed, firm as a book of prayers, holds a gap, a secret crooked under a tongue that proves we are each and each a body, a garden to be ironed smooth by rain. When I was young, I was told This is how God put me together, sacral ark, made to feel small as a woodland creature in a flood. A hairpin turn always leaning into dark. These are also poems I might not necessarily read during a reading, which is another reason why I chose them. They kind of don't fit into a general theme, and I like to, when I'm reading, pick a theme and try to find echoes and pull the threads between poems so it's a coherent whole. And these are kind of the outsiders, the outliers. How to speak to lust. It tangs, is the damp soil under stone, a planter bed wisped with dill. The way he draws his palm along my jaw to explain the language of flowers, how bolt means to bloom, and heat ushers such opening, how even a light wind will hush it to collapse. It's the feathery leaves pinched between nails, the yellow spindles staining a palm, so everything grasped waxes. It's the way salt dries, a chalk ring needing wet to fade, the soil well drained and plotted. It's his promise that the leaves, seeds, and flowers can braise in my mouth, the steamed chicken with basil and mint that aches for a sprig to sour the unbearable sweetness. These last two poems I'm going to read from my latest collection, Before the Fevered Snow. That came out in April with Stillhouse Press. I'm calling this my pandemic baby. And it's been an incredibly bizarre and somewhat wonderful experience to release a book during a pandemic. But any chance I get to share this work and these poems, I'm very grateful. Gifts from the Crows. I leave scraps and star charts, maps of glass that broke in the sky. They slip gifts near my door, paper cups, bright buttons, bent wire. Tokens so simple, I wonder if I've lifted them in sleep, barefoot under the gaslights. I read about houses shored with whalebone and timber washed up on sand and structured into a stable compound, cement or stucco. Every woman knows that even beauty is surrounded by hard. The most difficult days, I wait to sleep until I hear the metronome of crows, frenzied by a cast of hawks that screech nearby. In the morning, crow bones, chewed clean, drop from the trees. Their feathers make dark doorways in the snow. In this last poem, I'll read the title poem, Before the Fevered Snow. Before the fevered snow, there was an eyelet and bright button, hair snipped from sleeping others and wed around my finger. You cut it with your tongue, and the light that came from your mouth burned hot, so we didn't need to speak. I watched instead your chest rise, as if with filament, the stuff of love, burning us clean. When an eyelash slipped onto my cheek, you prayed, a God wish, hallucinating faith. I left that morning, your fever lifted, and we woke to April snowfall, window fog and bloom. An unsettled quiet, without the first sounds of breaking. Just the ryegrass bending under my feet, the dew outstretched on the leaves overhead, the omen of it all. Thank you for listening.